Iconoclasts is an action platformer created by one dude known as Konjac, and published by Bifrost Entertainment. After 8 years of development, it's finally released on PC, macOS, Linux, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation Vita. The word iconoclast means a person who attacks or criticizes a cherished belief or institution, which is fitting for the game. Now, I played this demo 7 years ago when I was in high school, so the full release has been a long time coming. Visually, Iconoclasts is as good as pixel art gets. This is 100% due to the fact that Konjac is one of the greatest pixel artists of all time, creating 6 full games on his own, with a handful of projects he wasn't thrilled about after he started. The game centers around a protagonist called Robin. She's an apprentice mechanic that lives on her own since her dad passed away. The world that Robin lives in is controlled by a religious order called One Concern, ruled by somebody they all call Mother. The Concern only allows licensed mechanics, and Robin isn't one. There's a rare commodity that this world's ran on, and they call it ivory. It supplies energy for housing, for everything they do. One Concern are worried about Robin tinkering with the world and finding out how deep their tyranny goes. You have 4 main moves in Iconoclast: jump, shoot, special, and special rotate. This works well in the heat of the moment, especially during boss fights that require it. Iconoclast is basically a game of cat and mouse, with One Concern trying to erase Robin's existence due to her not being a qualified mechanic in the eyes of the Order, while along the way meeting some interesting characters and developing some pretty interesting relationships. There was 2 minor bugs I found during my time. One where an enemy soldier froze in place during combat, and another where a tree enemy died and so did his mate, but his sprite remained, making him invulnerable. The characters are interesting, the story feels a little lacking. The idea of an apprentice mechanic being wanted by a religious order for unauthorized repairs seems a little silly to me, but I respect it nonetheless. There's a scene in the game where you need to crawl above soldiers or move towards the exit during the segments of laughing. I found myself having 0 patience for this part, and it took me the good part of 5 minutes. The pixel perfect punishment is nothing but brutal. With 0 leniency, it felt a little unfair, but that's just me having a whinge. There's also a few cool effects and little things in the game that stood out for me. For one, there's a desert background that reminds me of Yoshi's Island, with the way it moves as you do, like a mirage effect. And also a nice audio touch, where as you move from left to right on the screen, the footsteps and gun blasts change ears with your positioning. It's clever, although at first I thought it was weird that only one ear was getting the audio sometimes, until I figured it out. Your health points on Iconoclast go down pretty quickly when you're getting smashed, but killing enemies and breaking specific statues will give you more HP slowly, as well as health drops from enemies very rarely and mostly during boss fights, so it's not too punishing. In conclusion, Iconoclast is a good game with some very good ideas and great aesthetics, great puzzles and a massive 10-hour campaign. But unfortunately the story failed to hold me, with long periods of button spamming trying to get through dialogue. I mean, I have no patience, so that doesn't really help at all, but it was still a little tedious. After 4 hours, I'd played as much as I'd wanted. If you're after a fun, new school side-scroller, then this will probably hit the mark. If you're interested in following for more reviews and different videos, give me a subscribe so you can see when new stuff comes up. Thank you a lot for your time. I also give Iconoclasts 6 out of 7 fleas.